I'll start recording now. So, hello, welcome. Catch me doing this video intro right now. This dog licks my face. Alright, well, welcome to this series that I'm gonna call Owen Tries to Make Andrew Take Anime Seriously, because I'm the one who gets to name things on YouTube, and I like to name stupid things. So yeah, what we're doing now is I've written down this list of every anime I've ever watched. I've ranked them here in column D. Owen's tried to guess my ranks here in column B. And then Owen ranked them himself in column F. For failure as a human being. Right, Owen?
I hate you so much.
I hate you more, don't worry
But
about
we'll go with that.
We can cut out whatever we want.
The best list is definitely in B. The decent list is in D, and then the fabulous list is in F.
I mean, you can say that. I'll just cut out anything you say that makes you sound good. It's easy. It's easy enough.
Alright. Should we read
Alright.
through the shows? Okay, so the one caveat was that you say that these are all the shows that you've seen?
Yeah, these are all the shows that I've seen. Yeah. These are all the anime that I remember watching.
Them and then...
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go through your list first, but the animes I have watched, and this is literally all of them. SAO, you know, the golden standard. If you look at my tier list, it has its own tier. Then the shows I've seen: SAO, Death Note, Black Clover, Psycho Pass, Attack on Titan, Re:Zero, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Mob Psycho, Demon Slayer, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Fairy Tail, The Promised Neverland, Psyche K, The Orion Host Club, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, SAO Abridged, which is an anime in my mind, and Castlevania. And for the record, I haven't seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon since I was a kid and have not seen all of them, so they got absolutely shafted on my list.
I mean, there you can see the question mark tier on mine. Those are the shows I have not seen. But they're still better than Boruto, so. They do get higher than that. And that is my Orion Host Club, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon right there.
Okay.
And that seems shows. I've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Growing up, but I barely watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon. But
yeah, exactly. I barely saw them as a kid as well. I just put them on there because I have seen them.
I gave you way more S's than you gave S's or A's. I think actually they're equal. The amount of S's I gave you is your S's and A's together. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right. So what I thought your number one show was where'd it go?
You deleted it.
Grammy.
I know your number one was Attack on Titan, though.
Yeah, it was Attack on Titan.
I saw that when you copy and pasted it over, but yeah.
Yeah, I think your number one is Attack on Titan, and then I thought right after that was Death Note. You seem to have
interesting.
That one. Then I had, let's see, Psycho Pass. I think I actually had that second for you at first, and then I put Death Note above it because I thought you liked Death Note a little bit more. I feel like these three though could be interchangeable. Then I put FMA Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Thought you liked that one decent amount. We got One Punch Man. Then, oddly enough, I actually did put Mob Psycho right underneath it a week ago, as you were talking about it like 30 minutes ago, putting them side by side.
Well.
Then I put SAO Abridged. I'd actually originally put it above Death Note, but then I was like, wait, you cannot think that these two are a better comedy than SAO Abridged. So SAO Abridged is going below Mob Psycho and One Punch Man. Then I put Demon Slayer. It's a pretty basic anime. I feel like it's like almost the average point of your list, which is a good place to put it. Wrong one. Then we got The Promised Neverland. I feel like you could switch Demon Slayer for you. But I thought it was you seem to complain about it a little bit in Demon Slayer. I really didn't like the maid at all.
I really don't like the black lady. I really don't like how racist that character looks.
Then I put Psyche K, mostly because I don't really know what your opinion on it is, besides you think it's a good comedy. But since we didn't really talk about it that much, and I know you haven't finished it, I put it below Demon Slayer.
I've watched
Neverland.
All of it dubbed. I'd rather watch comedies dubbed in general. So
Yeah, I think Psyche's also is a good dub. I think that like
it does
One
have a
Punch
good
Man is a
dub.
good. I think like One Punch Man is better sub because okay in Japanese is O in One Punch Man, so he always just says O instead of okay, which just makes it sound so much more brain dead or
Yeah,
so much
yeah,
more
yeah.
like airhead. But yeah, I did like I did watch Psyche Camp until the dub stopped. 'Cause then it was just different kind of comedy, same
Yeah.
stuff, but just like the tone was different. So
I
this
have
is the
way
new
more
Psyche.
trouble reading tone.
Yeah, we've
Castlevania.
talked about this. I played Castlevania next. I thought it was near starting to get towards the bottom. Like we watched it, but we neither of us were that excited about it. So good show though, no complaints. Then on the Orion Host Clicks, I had no idea what you thought about this whatsoever.
That's pretty
But
close.
I knew you liked it more than Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And My Hero Academia,
Yep.
which I know you dropped because you didn't watch season 4, so I put it there. And then Black Clover because you watched less of the you actually watched My Hero with me, but you just kind of like saw bits and pieces of Black Clover, and then Wikipedia the
I
rest of it.
watched most of
Then
Black Clover
ReZero.
up to like episode 60, maybe.
Yeah, but you also started in episode like 15. You didn't even start from the beginning.
I saw like a little bit of the beginning, but yeah, you were part of the way through the beginning.
I think you were like it was like the second arc you started watching it through because you did yeah.
I
Then ReZero, 'cause
saw
know
the
you dropped
first
that.
thing like I distinctly remember watching in Black Clover was like the tryouts to get into a guild.
Ah, so that's like I guess that's
like pretty early.
it's like the first 10 episodes, I guess. I forget when that is. I guess it's in the first. I don't know. There's 161 episodes now, which isn't a lot compared to like some shows, but it's enough in a long period of time to forget what happens in the first like 10. Then I put Fairy Tale, and then surprised to no one, I put SAO.
Alright,
And I figured you put all these 3 in Boruto, which in my mind is your version of SAO. Because the only fight I've shown you from Naruto is from Boruto, and you hate that fight, so I feel like Boruto fits the
yeah, I mean I only have one F and SAO. So these were pretty close. There are a couple that you got kind of wrong, but let's see.
I figured as such.
Where's the fill? I just set it to reset. All right, so number 1 I did do Attack on Titan. I wrote something else as my number 1 at first, and then I rethought it and didn't like it, or I realized that I prefer like Attack on Titan's my favorite show in terms of animes for sure. I mean, I'm watching it live as it comes out, which I don't do for anything ever. I hate waiting for shows to come out.
That's true.
So I mean that like automatically that like is pretty decent. Actually, number 2, Psycho Pass. So you were close on that one.
Then Death Note, I'm gonna call it.
Nope. I actually like Demon Slayer a lot. Like more than you think. You think it's like very average. I like it. I don't know. I like it, dude. I rewatched it like 3 times.
I think it's a good
like
show. No, that's true. I do think it's a. I mean, I did put it as like my highest A.
yeah.
I just think it's just the only complaint I have about Demon Slayer is also its greatest strength is that it's just so simple. Which isn't like it's not bad, but it doesn't. And I think that Ufotable really blew away with that animation and that music. Because I heard some people saying that like
sick,
the
dude.
manga is like that, especially the first couple arcs in the manga are very boring. They're very dry, and they're just like not that good. But then Ufotable came and just animated the living hell out of it and gave it a really great composition.
No, it's good. Demon Slayer is really gorgeous. I'm a big fan.
Because
and as someone who hasn't seen
better,
much,
so.
yeah, that's sick. As someone who hasn't seen much anime though, like it being basic doesn't bother me because I mean I've only seen 20 shows.
No, that's true.
So then, top of A, I think I did One Punch Man. Big fan of that. So then obviously Mob Psycho is next because those two shows are very similar. I just think I like One Punch Man a little bit more.
Put them down. You have One Punch Man and Mob Psycho, just 2 lower or 1 lower than mine each.
Yeah.
For what I gave you.
On up next, SAO Abridged.
I mean, it is funny. Yeah, I was right though. You did. Hey, look at that. That's the exact same order I gave you.
Yeah. No, you nailed the order. You just have Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist higher than I do. But
Yeah.
here's Death Note. I haven't seen it in a while. I think it might deserve to be higher on this list. But I watched it in high school. I remember when we were looking at this list, I had it thumbs down on Netflix because I didn't like anime at the time, but that one show was really good, so I binge watched it in like 2 days and then gave it a thumbs down because I was getting anime suggested to me. And I was a judgmental high schooler.
I think where you put it is almost exactly where I put it on my list for myself. Like it's definitely an A tier, but it's not like it has a lot of great things about it, like the fact that it pulls in from like Greek philosophy, and then
Yeah.
it shows like Light's hubris and everything. But at the same time, it has Misa Armano. It has the terrible antagonist of the second half.
Yeah, no,
So
it
it's
kind
got
of
some
gets weird.
problems. So I think like A. I think A is a like great place to put it.
Okay, cool. And then I think, yeah, this is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I
It
liked
hurts me
it.
more that you put that in a B than that you put it in your A spot. To be honest, that hurts me more. That's the
Bro, it is literally called Fuhrer King Bradley. If you don't know he's the bad guy from the first time that he's introduced, you are a drooling moron. If you Google Fuhrer, you get a picture of Hitler. It is the Hitler word.
Oh, I know.
Okay?
It's also they also that's done intentionally in Brotherhood. Like
Yeah.
he's supposed to be in Full Metal Alchemist. He's supposed to be more subtle because they also don't call him the Fuhrer in the beginning. He's just King Bradley.
Yeah, but
And then they're like, he's the Fuhrer, and then he becomes evil. But they didn't want to have him like
no.
they weren't gonna be like, oh, another plot twist that you guys already see coming of him being the bad guy. We'll just make it up front really easy. So like people do say the first like if you watch FMA Brotherhood, it is obvious that from the first time you see Bradley, he is the bad guy.
Yeah, and it's just like kind of obvious something secret's going on, but I don't really care because the story doesn't seem to be about them going for it, so it feels like something that's going to happen later instead of becoming like the center of the show. So I wasn't like that invested. I thought like he'd be in the background doing nefarious things for like longer. I don't know. I expected it to be longer, and it kind of let me down a little bit. It's a good show. It just didn't meet my like. I didn't like the narrative structure.
Well, I thought it was cool that like because the thing I think was interesting is that like you see Bradley and you're like, this is the main bad guy. Like he's the Fuhrer, he's the leader of the Empire. Like this is the main bad guy. And then it's like, oh, he's actually a puppet to someone else. And then at first you think that's their dad because it looks exactly like their dad. And then it just keeps opening up to like, oh no, it's actually like the this guy or
Yeah.
this being that knew your dad, and he's the reason that like all this shit's going on to begin with. And Bradley's actually a part of him, but even then, Bradley was a I think that like, yeah, it does like hit you with that obvious like right away. Like it does follow a lot of tropes. It was like, oh, this is obviously gonna be the bad guy, but then it takes those tropes and it kind of turns them on you a little bit.
Yeah, to me, like the way it's narratively structured feels like an inferior Psychopass a little bit. Like
I don't think Psychopaths and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood are
I'm
comparable on
talking
that
about like
front.
the story of like finding out about the bad guy, like figuring out what's going on in the world. Like I
Like
see like
with
that
Cerberus,
kind
yeah.
of I see that sort of system as being similar between the two shows, but I prefer Psychopass's way of doing it. And since I saw Psychopass first, it was like, yes, and like a way of telling this story, but not as well as something I like better, which definitely gets it knocked in my book.
I think I don't know because it's not like Psychopaths. Like there's definitely like a secret to the world, but like the secrets that you expect to see aren't the ones that you think they're hiding from you in the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't want to try. I don't want to try to spoil Psychopaths as much as possible, but like I don't think, th- like you can tell from like the beginning of um Full Metal Alchemist that there's definitely something amiss.
Yeah.
Whether it's King Bradley or someone else, unclear. But with Psychopaths, it's like there's a little bit of something going on, but it more just seems like the government's at fault. The government is made an imperfect system that it thinks is perfect, and then the main character and the antagonist both think it's wrong, but they're both using different ways to prove that it's wrong. And then they're like, here's even more why it's a bad system.
Yeah. I mean, Psychopaths just really. I mean, you remember watching it with me. It really pulled me in by getting me like emotionally invested in how shitty the world was and that no one cared.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you. You I disagree with giving Fullmetal Alchemist a B, but I mean B is still an 8 out of 10 in my mind, so that's still a fantastic show. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm doing it like
well, B is like a 6 to like a 7.
I'm
I guess, if
seeing
you
this
make
as
it
like my Smash tier list sort of thing. So like, my main is Ness, and Ness is a B tier character. So like, I see B as like a pretty high standard.
no, I get this is fair. This is very fair. You'll also understand why it hurts me more than when I give you my list. But
I've already seen your list. It's like number 2 or 3. I know.
this is fair.
All right. So then below that, I put Psyche K. I think Psyche K is just like a very different take on One Punch Man or Mob Psycho.
Yeah,
I
no
like it
drama,
a
really.
lot, but it like I don't know. It feels like something I really like watching a couple of episodes at night, like before bed, is how I watched it. And I'd really enjoy it, and then I'd be like, all right, well, time to go to bed now. Which, like, for One Punch Man, I will, like, sit down and watch the whole thing in, like, one sitting. When I rewatch it.
The reasoning behind that is because Psyche is more of a slice of life version of it. Like One Punch Man is definitely you get the action fights you get, but like Psyche's not. It's not every episode is like, oh, here comes like, oh, here's a monster, here's this, here's like some problem. It's just like, how
Yeah.
can Psyche make his life as convenient as possible without anyone knowing he has psychic powers? And like his big dilemma is like, shit, someone's gonna die, or I can show my powers to everyone. What do I do?
Yeah, no,
And
I
stuff
feel
like
like
that. So
I relate with Psyche's, like, want to kind of be, like, left alone in a certain sense sometimes. I mean, obviously, I have nowhere near the level of, like, awesomeness that Psyche is. There's, like, sometimes you just want to be left alone and have your pudding or whatever he's really into, that chocolate thing.
Jello.
Coffee Jello, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah. Sometimes you just want to like sit down and be left alone.
Yeah, I really think that Psyche K is just like, it's a perfect show, but it has nothing special about it. So you're just like, like you'd always come back and watch Psyche K, but it's never something where you're like, man, like Psyche K really changed my life. Like I feel like there's some episodes of Attack on Titan, but the next day you're like, man, fuck everything. Like, jeez. Like even Psychopaths, like there's some episodes where you're like, all right, how do I go outside now and act normal after watching this? But Psyche K is just like, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed myself. Fun time. Another one for the books.
Yep, totally
Good laugh
agree.
here and there.
Alright. I don't even remember what's next. Castlevania. I like Castlevania. It's very basic.
Yeah. It's good for an American anime. It technically isn't even an anime, so I guess because it's made by an American studio.
Yeah, but I put
it's-
SAO abridged on this list, so I don't. Saying Castlevania is not an anime would be ridiculous.
Yeah, and given the fact that I didn't even make that judgment call until like right now, after I had so many qualms with SAO abridged being on this, so I
Dude,
think Castlevania being in mid B is not bad.
Hey, that reminds me, I gotta
put it a
defend
little
my
lower, but
SAO
yeah.
abridged opinion for it being on this list. SAO abridged is its own show. It has like its own narrative arc. They actually animated other things on top of it to make it like a different show, and therefore I see it as its own thing. And maybe it's not an anime, but it goes on this list anyways. And anyone who's upset with that,
it being an anime, but then again, I have Castlevania,
yeah.
so. But I do agree it is better than SAO, and it is its own piece of work at that point. So.
Yeah.
But I don't know how bridges work with anime and whatnot, so it's not really
I mean, it's our list, and we
I
get to do
don't know.
whatever we want. And anyone who's upset with it can suck it.
That's true. Very true.
I really don't care what other people think about the fact that I put that on here. Up next, the Promised Neverland. I don't know. I really like it. It doesn't like stand out for me that much personally. It's neat. It's cool. I really hate every second that the black maid lady is on the screen because she's the most racist caricature I have seen since I studied racism in film at school. And even like some of those like racist like films, like racist caricatures of black women from like the Jim Crow era are a little bit less over the top than she is, and that just makes me uncomfortable and plummets it in my list automatically.
I guess that's fair. I get that makes sense now, because I was gonna say the way that I know your taste in shows are, and the way you've listed this, I would have honestly thought you would have at least just switched it with Castlevania. I wouldn't say any higher than that. Like, I don't think, because it's still indie, it's still
Yeah.
the same thing. I just think that you would like Promised Neverland like one thing higher than Castlevania. But you saying that whole the racist part thing, yeah, no, that makes sense. I can see that. That is the only part I dislike. But now that like it's not there anymore. Also, I tried to rank these shows when I did it on what you've seen of them, because like there's season 2 now of The Promised Neverland,
Yeah, I haven't seen that
and
yet. I'm going to
okay,
watch it eventually, but as you know, I'm focused on doing this and playing Rocket League right now, so I'm not.
yeah, it's not a
I'm watching shows in English on the other, on my second monitor. I can't be reading subtitles and playing Rocket League. It doesn't work.
that is true. That is very true.
All right.
Let's see.
So up next, I put Black Clover. I kind of liked Black Clover. It was fine.
Yeah, I just put it there because you never really
I didn't finish it.
dropped it midway through.
I felt no need to finish it or keep watching it because I also read the whole Wikipedia article and essentially knew everything that happened in the manga.
Well, now things have changed because there's a time skip going on. So like,
Ah!
Costa's like, well, okay, time skip. I thought when it was a time skip, it was gonna be like years had gone by, but then I remember that like there's a girl that only has like a year to survive, and I was like, how the hell do they do a time skip with a girl who's about to die? And then I was like, oh, it's only 6 months. That explains it now. But also was just doing like push-ups for days for those 6 months, and now he's just like jacked and gigantic.
Yeah. Also, Black Clover gets pushed up on my list too because Tucker watched it and we talked about it, and so that was just kind of cool.
Yeah, but you know, talk about shows definitely brings it up because then you can talk about like what you like about him more, what you dislike about him more.
Yeah, and I just never Tucker before he went to college was like me, never watched anime. No one in my family watched anime before going to college, so like him coming back and watching Attack on Titan with me, and then talking about Black Clover kind of like just brings the Attack on Titan was already number 1, but it definitely brings Black Clover higher on my list just because I talked with Tucker about it.
That makes sense.
That was like cool for me.
I think I watched one anime in high school, and it was like one of the shittiest anime I think I've ever seen. I think I put it as like a 3 on my anime list.
I only
Like 3 out of
watched Death Note, Fairy
And then I just
Tale.
didn't touch it for a while. Made fun of John every time he watched anime in our room freshman year, and then one day sophomore year, I was like, might as well try Attack on Titan.
Wait, you didn't watch? I knew we didn't watch anime freshman year. I didn't know that you didn't watch anime freshman year.
No, I used to
That's
make fun of
actually
John
news to
because
me.
He'd make fun of Avengers stuff, and I'd just be like, One Punch Man is stupid. And he'd be like, no, it's not. One Punch Man is stupid. Then you'd be like, One Punch Man is stupid. And then we both watch One Punch Man, and we're like, One Punch Man is not stupid.
Yeah, no, One Punch Man's pretty dope.
Oh.
Alright. But yeah. I thought Black Clover, like, kind of cool. Everything about it was neat. I thought, like, the fighting was interesting.
It's Harry Potter with systematic racism.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is just Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I put them down here because I don't remember them.
Wow, I put them in the exact same place you did.
Yep. So yeah, I don't remember them. They're just here. Whatever.
And then Orion Host Club's gonna go right underneath it since you don't remember that one either.
Yep.
Yep.
To the letter, Eva just barked. I'm sure it's nothing. We'll ignore that for now.
And then it's gonna be My Hero Academia, Fairy Tail, and then ReZero and SAO. I'm gonna guess the last 4 of them.
Alright, yeah. I think Orion Host Club is like very goofy and interesting. It's just also absolutely bizarre. I mean, you haven't even seen it.
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. It was just one of those things. Zeke was like, we're gonna watch this. The 2 animes Zeke has shown me are Orion Host Club and Psyche K.
Huh. Yeah, let's check out Orion Host Club. I'm always down to add things to my shitty taste.
Yeah, no, it's like very strange, but it's funny. The dub is good. And yeah, alright, so then after Orion Host Club, in the D tier, My Hero Academia. The show's alright, it has those glaring flaws like sexualizing children, which is the reason I don't watch it anymore. I'm never touching it again. Tough luck. One of the characters is like 12 and her power is taking off her clothes. She does things after she takes off her clothes, but the fact that her power is taking off her clothes, that's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could really
And there's the
be cool
perv
for
character. The
the
perv
only
character
two
makes
things I like
everything worse.
the Froggy girl, yeah, that's
No,
pretty
not the
cool.
froggy girl, the dude with the purple balls.
Oh, perfect guy. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget his name. I only know a girl who takes off her shirt. And Deku, and then the other two guys. It's Momo, Deku. Oh my god.
It's not important.
Todoroki. Todoroki. I need to remember
That,
Todoroki's name because everyone hates Todoroki. And then Bakugo. And
huh,
Bakugo's mom. Everyone remembers Bakugo's mom.
okay. I don't know half
I don't
those
know why
names.
everyone remembers
I watched that show with you for like a week.
Main
Whatever,
character, naked girl, ice fire guy, and explodey hands.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Ice Fire Guy.
Ice fire guy is Todoroki.
I feel like his character's super wasted a lot of the time.
Well, people hate him because he has like all this potential to be like really strong, and then he's just like, I hate my dad because he bullied my mom, and my mom gave me the scar, and I'm not gonna use my dad's power now, but I'm only gonna use my mom's power. And it's like, but why not use both? Why not?
Yeah, no.
Not give your middle finger to your dad by using his power to become stronger than him, not only using half your power.
Yeah, no. His whole goal of like, I'm gonna like be above my dad on the hero rankings by only using half my power. Your dad is now the #1 ranked hero, bucko. Like, you gotta go all out. Like, I understand you have an equally powerful secondary power of ice, but you're just stupid for not using fire. Him not using fire and like the training stuff when he's fighting the other kids makes sense. Maybe don't burn your classmates to a crisp. You know?
Yeah, but it's anime, so you know you gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to
But
kill your
like,
classmate, like, come on, what are you doing?
yeah, exactly. It's impossible. The only person who gets hurt in My Hero Academia is Deku's the main character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him when he hurts himself. Like, that's it. Like in training and stuff.
Deku's real name, but I don't really care.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right. So up next, Fairy Tail.
Watched the first episode 7 times and dropped it every time.
No, I actually made it to like episode 70. I watched.
I've watched the first episode 7 times. I said.
What?
I've watched the first episode 7 times and dropped it.
Oh, good for you. Don't keep watching. It's dumb. I mean, it's in my D tier. Zeke and Dylan
you put it right
watched it in high school.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Zeke and Dylan watched it in high school. I watched it because they talked about it. We used to go to lunch all the time together, and I got tired of not having anything to contribute for the conversation that would take place for our whole hour at lunch. So I watched the show. That was it.
Hated yourself, boy.
I didn't like it. Like, I did not enjoy it very much. I just watched it so I could talk with them about the show. And also, since I was watching it, they'd stop talking about, future episodes and stuff I couldn't talk about because then they would be spoiling it for me. It was like a 3D chess move in real life.
The only thing I know about Fairy Tail is a meme of someone saying, what happens if Fairy Tail was to fight against a group of people that also love themselves as much as Fairy Tail loved each other? And then they were like, oh, you mean the Phantom Troop from Hunter x Hunter? They'd get their ass kicked. And I think that's the funniest thing ever. Because you know the Phantom Troop because there's a rap song that you listen to about it. It's the Monster No Frankenstein.
Yeah, I like that song. Alright, and so then I'll clear the other two. So then it's ReZero as my second worst one. I almost put it below SAO just for the memes. And then SAO.
I mean, knowing how you feel about each of these, and the funny thing is the 2 isekai are at the bottom. So Andrew, you are not isekai trash. That is good to know.
Yeah, no, fuck that. ReZero was like so interesting for the first couple of episodes, and then they were like, this like potential we have for this, like, like this guy dies all the time in this world by making like social faux pas in like a violent world with magic and everyone's like a trained fighter. And then it's like, oh yeah, but what if we ruined that whole premise by like making him a weird pervert and trying to turn it into a harem? Just like, wow, like, congrats, you lost me. Like, great premise, but you decided to drop the whole premise for like 8 episodes for no reason. It was sickeningly bad in my opinion. Like I was done, so fucking
I
done with
know.
that show. Yeah,
No,
you
I
know.
know you hated it. And then everyone knows the problems with SAO.
SAO. Obviously, yeah, I know it's pretty controversial. I know everyone loves SAO, but yeah,
Oh yes.
R.I.P. SAO.
All right. So my number one anime, and you understand why I was so upset, is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, it's number one, right?
That is my number one anime. I don't know. It was one of my first that I saw next to Attack on Titan, and there's just something about the way the characters will interact, like how they were able to balance so many different characters who all have so many. Like I feel like there's every main character or like main side character for the most part has their own ideology that they try to like stand for the entire show, whether or like they try to they represent the entire show, whether or not
I agree
they're
with
like
that.
it's a good ideal or not is a different thing. But I think that I can't remember what all of them do, but every character at least like they had some standout ideology in the end. And I do love Olivia Armstrong. I think her like character introduction is one of the best character introductions of all
Oh
time.
no, she's great. I like the characters in Full Metal Alchemist. I agree with all that. I just didn't love the story that much.
No, it's fair. I think that I I also love the ending of Full Alchemist Brotherhood. I think that like I think Greed's arc at the end, like the way he finishes everything. I know like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the very stereotypical. It's not the destination. It's the journey, or it's the friends you made along the way. Because that's like basically how it ends in a nutshell. But I
Yep.
think that it just does such a good job of doing that like you can't be like, oh, I did the trope. It's like, oh, did a good job on that.
Okay. Go to your next one. I'm gonna go
But
to the bathroom, but I'll still be able to hear you. Bluetooth headset, baby.
woo. All right. Well, then my next one. I guess I can keep talking about Full Metal Brotherhood and take it back. I also think it's really funny how the teacher's husband is the author of the manga's ideal male image. This like big bear man. If you ever look up Full Metal Alchemist, like not Brotherhood, just the Full Metal Alchemist one, look up like Armstrong meets teacher's husband, and that's when they have the flex off, and it's an entirely different flex off than they have in Brotherhood because they're in a shop and they're just like, oh, flex, and then Ed, Al, and Winry are just standing behind them like terrified as these two bared men are just flexing it off, and then they respect each other for their flexes.
That's
But
hysterical. That's great.
it is what it is. So, that's actually what got me into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Was I saw that scene and then I watched it and I was like, I didn't find the scene. Why didn't I find the scene? And I was like, oh, it's in the other one. But I didn't really feel like watching the other one. But I still got to get around to watching it. I hear that it's still pretty good on its own front. Like people give, like if someone was to give, like if I like was to give it a 10 Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, they'd probably give like a 9 to Full Metal Alchemist just because it does have like the wonky ending. But
yeah, I saw Brooks was watching the non-Brotherhood one, and it was pretty interesting. It had it was different, and I liked it.
yeah, I think it's would definitely be something that if I'm bored or something for the next. I actually don't even know. I guess I get bored in the next couple months. I can always give it a try. But then my next show is from No Just Taste Review, Psychopaths.
Hey,
This is actually my top 2 anime. It does actually no, it's not. JoJo's is my number 2 anime. Psychopaths is my number 3. So almost there. But I love Psychopaths. I think that it is always a good show to go back to and rewatch. I think I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now, from like start to finish. I think season 3 is pretty bad, but I don't care much about season 3. I think season 1 is good enough on its own to put it in S and just put it in my number 2 spot. I think season 2 gets more hate than it deserves, but it still isn't as good as season 1.
yeah. Have we seen all 3 seasons? Are there 3
I've
seasons?
watched all 3 seasons. You have not seen all 3 seasons with me.
I haven't seen season 3. Oh, you said
It's
not
like
to watch it, right?
all yeah. I haven't finished it yet. I'll let you know how it finishes. But I mean, it looks nice and it's cool and like it definitely builds in the world. It's just weird that this guy and like the power that the guy has that he can like go into like people's mind, like he can go to a crime site and like go into people's minds and like go back and like see what's going on, is cool. And I hope they explain like why he can do that. I know there's also movies I've missed. I should probably watch that tie into it all. So maybe I'll watch everything that the show has to offer, and then I can let
Yeah,
you
we
know
could
if it's
just do
actually
that
worth it
when
or
we
not. Or
move in, honestly. I'd just be down to watch it in general.
that's fair. I can do that. I would not be against. I also just like Psycho Pass because the world of Psycho Pass is so cool, and anything about it is just more.
Yeah.
So next after that is One Punch Man.
Heyo.
I don't know if it's well, it's definitely one of my favorite anime comedies of all time, and it's definitely my favorite. My second favorite satire on shonen. I think JoJo's is also probably a satire on shonen in just its own way, but you can also can't categorize JoJo's. But I just love everything about One Punch Man. If I'm going through YouTube and any like thumb videos like, oh, watch Genos versus Saitama or Saitama versus Boros, it's like, well, I got 10 minutes to kill. Might as well. And you can always go back and rewatch like
Yep.
any part of One Punch Man. It's a good time. Even season 2. Like the more I watch season 2, the better it gets.
Yep, agreed. Every time I watch it, it's better.
And then Mob Psycho. I feel like these two go back and forth in my head because sometimes I'm like, I just love Mob Psycho, and other times I just love Saitama. And I think they're just
I think
such good
Mob
shows.
does
I mean,
like
they're both written by one, so either way,
yeah.
the guy here with these is just really good at writing funny shows that also somehow like can pull at your feels. Because like the more you think about One Punch Man too, like you sit there and you watch it once, you're like, oh, this is really funny. But then the more you watch it, you're like, One Punch Man, like Saitama is the center of every joke in One Punch Man, but he's never the one laughing.
Yeah, no.
And then like Mob is the center of all of his jokes, but he's also never the one laughing. And I like the messages inside of Mob. I think it has a lot more like it shows a lot more.
Yeah, no,
Better
Mob
than how they show.
has like more characterization and stuff going on. I just like the presentation of One Punch Man a lot. I think it's generally funnier. I enjoy like just watching Saitama get his like shit rocked while he's just like, what's going on? Like, I wonder what's up with this guy. He just horseplaying a little bit. Like, no, he's just trying to kill you. Like, you're invincible. You are aware of this, right? Like,
Then he gets mad that there's a bargain sale at this supermarket and he might miss it.
yeah, always back to Carnage Kabaho. That's like that's like my number one fight in that show, just because it's so fucking funny.
Yeah, it really is. From start to finish, he runs around the room, goes up, tries to sneak up behind Saitama. Saitama turns his eye, and the guy's like, if I had continued going, I would have died.
Yep.
And then what is it? He asks for the training plan. He asks how Saitama gives him how she got stronger. Everyone's like, no way, that's not real.
You're gonna reveal the secret to your power right now. Like Genos assumes he's got like an infinity gauntlet up his ass or something, like secretly, you know. I'm like, and it's like, nah, man. He like
that also is like the theme of the show though. That fight does show the theme of One Punch Man. It is like if you are consistent and dedicated to one thing, you will become that one thing.
Yeah.
It's shown throughout, but it's like I think the first time that it's like really handed out like a silver platter to the audience, being like, this is the theme.
Yeah, because until then you don't know what's up with Saitama. It's like, were you a god? Like, are you a god? Like, what's going on? And then
well, you get like there's the crab man.
Oh yeah, right.
He's like, I was obsessed with I ate crab every day and I became a crab. Then you have the mosquito woman who, you know, she's just into like she's basically just a bloodsucker and a gold digger, and because of that, she literally manifests into a leech. Well,
does it show that she's a gold digger? Or are you just projecting here?
Well, she's someone that I forget. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure she was like a parasite on society beforehand. And if you look at the manga, it's something. I haven't seen the manga that much.
Well,
I mean,
she's supposed to represent someone who takes from people but never gives back. And she like it's like all the flies are supposed to be like all the men that she's like draining the wealth out of, but then not giving anything back to in return, and just like her presence around them is enough to like to leech onto her. And then when she's like when they've given everything that they have to her, she just tosses them aside. I don't know if that's necessarily a gold digger per se.
Yeah. Wait, have you seen Soul on Disney Plus?
No, I have not. I've seen the ads for it. I have not actually watched it.
One of the things in it, it's like they go to the guy's going to heaven and he manages to sneak out and go to like where babies are made before they're born in the world. It's weird. It's like instead of the afterlife, he goes to the pre-life because.
So it's the beginning of Boss Baby.
Yeah, so not really, but then so like it says the characteristics, and one of like the things pops up. It's like I'm a manipulative narcissist who will take any and all advantages I get in life and use it against you. And like the god person's like, wow, you're gonna be a fun person.
Wow.
Yep.
Ooh. But, who else? What's another one? Oh, there's
that just reminded me of that.
Cars. No, that was well, I mean, because One Punch Man is supposed to be a show the representation of the dread of entering the workforce.
Okay.
And then like all of like the toxic things that like make up society are like the other parts of like the show in some way. I don't know how the heroes play into it that much. I've just seen like a couple things on
that makes sense.
Mosquito Woman, the crab guy, that's his name, and then the human evolutionist guy, because he's the one that mentions the limiter and everything. But then I do like in Mob Psycho the whole theme of like hard work pays off more than anything else. Because I just love when the Body Improvement Club, the leader, just gets Mob's powers and he just takes the guy and slams him to the ground.
Oh yeah, when Mob like gives him his power, that's great.
There's the problem. It's like, because you think about One Punch Man, you're sitting there and you're like, this is so good. But then you think of Reagan going into the Claw Fortress and just swatting those black holes side to side. And be like, what is this, child's play? And, like, you just can't help but like have to pause it because you're laughing so hard.
Oh, that was so good, dude.
That is one of the best episodes in anime of all time. Just him being like, is my assistant in here? The only assistant that the boss could have inside of here, or the only assistant inside there is the claws, or the scars. And the only person that they're the assistant to is the boss. This man's the boss. And then Reagan just comes storming in with like an army of guys behind him. Where is Mob? You are late for dinner. You are not answering your phone. I need to know where you are. But all right, then my next one. It's Attack on Titan.
Nice.
I'm nothing against Attack on Titan. I just like all these shows a lot more. It also really depends, honestly, on how this ends. Because like right now, I'm giving it a hard S, and I think it'll continue. I'm expecting it to stay exactly as it is. But I've seen many shows where they have such a strong beginning, such a strong like build up to the conclusion, and then just fucking limp dick it at the end. But I think then it would just go down to like an A. I think the rest of Attack on Titan is so good still that.
Yeah.
And right. I'm genuinely looking forward to watching every episode as it comes out.
You're right, I'm sending you a meme Zeke just sent me. Give me 1 second.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, cool. Sorry, I just wanted to do that while I was thinking about it. I checked my phone. We were talking about Attack on Titan because you weren't going to say anything I needed to add to. I know we agree on this. I mean, I put it as number 1. It and Psycho Pass were like very close to number 1 for me. I wasn't sure which I wanted to put over it.
I put Psycho Pass as number 1, and then I moved it down, and then I put Death Note as number 1, then I moved it down, then I put Attack on Titan up. And I was like, this is
yeah.
Alright, then after Attack on Titan, my last S tier, which I'm debating now moving that S tier up one and making it A, but is Death Note. I mean, you've heard my piece on Death Note. I think the coolest part of Death Note, that might be the only reason I kept it in S and not A, is the whole part in the first half, quote unquote, because it's not really a half, when Light gives up the Death Note and becomes like his old self again and is trying to work with L to find Kira, and then he gets the Death Note piece back. I think that part's so cool.
You know? No, that was dope.
I think there's so many good parts of Death Note, but then at the same time, Mitara Mono is one of the worst female side characters of all time. The fact that she gives up 75% of her life.
No, I feel like you can judge how good a lot of animes are by their female characters, because there's always a good amount of female characters, and it's like, alright, are you literally like do you exist so that people can make hentai of you, or are you a real character? Like, I think all of like the high tier shows do it pretty well. Attack on Titan, all the female characters, like I don't
Yeah, you want to
even
hear what actually? Want to know what one funny thing complaint I heard about Attack on Titan was
what
that there was a lack of like any sexual tension in Attack on Titan, like whatsoever. And the reasoning, but I didn't think about it at first, and the guy like went on to explain it, and like the TLDR is that like in a situation that like Attack on Titan where like you're going to die, you tend to be like if you get a moment where you're peaceful, your body just instantly goes into like reproduce mode and just tries to like get its offspring out as quick as possible.
is that
So you
true?
do
Like,
get very horny. So you will like in like say after they save the wall for the first time, like after they push back that first wall after like the second time they attack
yeah,
in season 1. I think it's the Troth assault or whatever.
yeah.
Like if after that happened, like if Sasha and Connie, like if someone just like walked by and you could just hear like their voice actors like saying things that might be a little bit more like, oh no, kind of thing. Not like they shouldn't like. I don't want to walk into a room and see Mikasa's boobs like bouncing up and down. But if like you see like Eren and Mikasa walk into a room and then like the door closes and someone walks by later and you hear like a bang and like someone moan, it's like I know what's going on in there. Like just things like that. They said like it was missing just because it didn't feel as real. But then again, nothing about Attack on Titan is real.
But
So it was
also
like
like,
it was a valid complaint I saw, but it was also just like doesn't add or detract from the show in my mind.
is that like true though? I'm not even 100% sure. I believe that like it's like, oh, we're gonna die. It's like, yes, as a man, yeah, absolutely, like sure, and that sounds like a good idea. I don't know if that's like the female perspective on
Well, I think it's
near
probably
death
more of like the
situations.
guy's like going off to war and he's gonna die and like not come back. He'd probably be like, or like gonna go somewhere and die and not come back. He'd be like, hey, let me like, this is gonna say, let me leave a baby inside you and then leave. But then like if it's like, all right, we're both gonna go out to war together. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave a baby inside of you, and then you're gonna come out and fight with me, and then like you're gonna have to just try to like make something inside of you while also not dying. I feel like yeah, that's probably a whole different mentality.
Also, like that show does not have space for relationship drama. Like everything that's going on is all well and good, but like everyone's so busy doing everything. Like they're always like it's urgent, 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 urgent. The whole show, like until the huge year-long break or whatever between seasons 3 and 4, is it? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like that 4-year break. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Like other than that, like sexual attention could have developed since then, and now that there's none, like then it's kind of weird. But it's like the whole thing was the scouts like going from point A to point B, fighting, doing things. Everyone's always exhausted and passing out at night, and like just fucking around constantly. Like I like it as like a pure friendship kind of show.
No, I agree. I think that like they did add a little bit to it because like in season 2, you like I think that they made Ymir and Historia like pretty good. Like if someone was like, oh, they're both like they were gay for each other, like that would not have been an
Oh
out there
yeah,
thing, and
that
it
was
was never
definitely what I
like
thought.
yeah, and it was never something that was like, oh, like we could make them this way to like add to their characters. It just like it added to their characters without having to be like they built on it.
I
Then it
feel like
like became
there's
part of their character. They never announced it, and it just helped build their characters. But it could have been like you could have been like, oh, there was sexual tension there a little bit.
I feel like there's a little bit of sexual tension between Mikasa and Eren as well.
Eren. I feel like that's dropped now. I think there is sexual tension from like on Mikasa's side toward Eren because she does have that like the Ackerman like curse kind of thing where like she is now the only emotions she can give to someone is Eren.
Oh, okay.
The only person she can give emotions to is Eren
Oh, that makes sense.
because he's the one that like got her to where she is, and then like Levi could only give his emotions to Erwin.
That makes sense.
So it doesn't mean that he was necessarily like, gay for him, but just the only person that he could actually like care about.
Yeah,
Which is why he was so wanted to kill Armin and keep Erwin at the end. They had that fight with Mikasa. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I do agree though. You can probably tell by a show by how strong their main characters are. Because that's also like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Besides for Winry sometimes being a whiny little bitch, even then it's only like once. Strong female cast.
Yeah.
Alrighty, next one.
I'm like somebody has to be whiny. You know. have someone in every situation who's like, "What's going on?" Like the sleepy dude in Demon Slayer.
Yeah. But mean, I think we've already talked enough about Demon Slayer. Everyone likes Demon Slayer. No one dislikes Demon Slayer. I think where I put it is a perfectly fine spot, and no one's gonna hate me for it.
That one guy on Twitter doesn't like Demon Slayer. I think that was on his list.
That's fine.
Yeah. Fuck
I
that
put
guy.
ReZero next as the only other A show. I actually had it higher. Lo and behold, I had to move it down because I forgot you only seen season 1. So I don't know if I would put it in A still. I think I like.
What the hell are those noises?
I don't know if my ReZero actually is season 2 or not. Now that I think about it, because I did give like season 1 like a 7, but then I do think season 2 is really good, and it's like now what's going on in season 2 is really really good, and I think it's building on itself. And honestly, as I told you, the only reason that I watch ReZero was because I listened to a bunch of anime YouTubers talk about what they thought about season 2. And then because I got to listen to that, I was like, well, I already know how season 2 is kind of going to go. Might as well just watch it. And if I get into any part that I really don't like, I'll just drop it. And then I watched all of it and I was like, this isn't that bad. But I do understand where you just liked it. But
Yeah.
I'm just forgetting now whether or not my A is because of part 1 or part 2. Or season 1 or season 2. I guess we'll figure out from the next one. Yeah, definitely the ReZero is definitely the current stuff, because I think season 1 of The Promised Neverland is infinitely better than the season 1 of ReZero.
Yeah, not
I like
even an
Promised
argument in my
Neverland.
mind.
I really liked how the first season 1 ended. I'm thoroughly enjoying season 2. It's currently not. It hasn't come out in a week. I'm kind of bummed. It didn't come out last Thursday,
Well,
so I
that
don't know what that.
sucks.
But so I guess people now know when we recorded. Oh, I guess the date's on the bottom of the screen.
I was just gonna say the date's in the bottom right of the screen, as is my name when it says last edit made by me. So I need to remember to edit that out.
But you can also just take out like the whole top thing, because whatever. Either way.
Oh yeah, I can crop out the top. You're right.
Black Clover. I think it's a perfectly average show. I like the way the world is, like the world building of Black Clover, and I like the magic system. It's cool. It doesn't blow me away or anything. It's just neat.
Yep. Agreed.
I think it's just a perfectly fine average B show. I think, look at that. What is that? 2 higher than what you did?
And that's just because I mean 2 of the shows I have up there are the 2 shows.
SAO Abridged.
Yeah, SAO Abridged and Psyche K are above that, and you haven't seen Psyche K, or have you seen?
I have. I have Psyche K is, I'm pretty sure, right below it.
Yeah, it's the next one. So I put it a little bit higher, and then you don't have SAO on your list high at all. I'm sure. So
no, I actually have SAO higher than you would expect, but yes. The only reason I think I put Psyche K below Black Clover is, while I think Psyche K is hysterical, I think the humor in Black Clover, the humor in Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, and even if Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is just, and Demon Slayer is just way better than Psyche K consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And I nothing against Psyche K. I just think that that is what it brings to the table, is its humor, and I think that these shows are just more enjoyable and funnier to watch. Like, I'll laugh every episode of Psyche K, but I will not die crying like I do for One Punch Man or Mob.
Oh no, absolutely agreed.
That's the only reason. And I think that the new stuff in Black Clover is actually really funny. So I just also, I mean, I haven't seen all of Psyche K. I think I've seen halfway through season 2, so this could obviously change. But no complaints. I think B's a good thing for it.
Yeah, have you seen the part of Psyche K where there's the reoccurring magician?
Yes.
That's one of my favorite bits, I think.
You've actually seen more than me, because I think more of the dub came out from when you started watching than when I did, so you probably got farther.
I rewatched it a couple months ago. I definitely have seen more than you.
Well, even when you started watching it, when you were watching it the last time before that, was way after I had stopped watching it, so. That I have SAO Abridged. I actually had this as the second to head lower, but then I was like, this actually isn't that bad. I will go with your logic of it being its own thing. And I genuinely enjoyed it. I don't think it's as funny as any of the other shows I have above it, and that's why I put it so low. And since it's not original, the plot itself is basically the same thing as SAO.
Yeah.
So the only thing it really brings to the table that's not SAO is just its humor.
Yeah,
was funny, but
for me,
nothing's
SAO.
better great other ones.
I think one of the
Go.
things I like so much about SAO Abridged is like how entrenched in like gamer culture a lot of the stuff like they joke about is, and so like I
Yeah.
personally relate to that a lot more, as you know, myself being me, being completely entrenched in the gaming world.
Nice way of walking around calling yourself a gamer.
Fuck that word.
I know. That's why I had to say it for you.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I get that. I do understand the like those ties, and I did like the opening scene. He's like, I hope they didn't add any ads to it. Just adds up the
Yeah.
Wasu on every
I'm
side of
gonna
the screen.
burn this bitch to
Like,
the
fuck.
ground.
He's like, no. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just has fun. I also haven't watched it in a couple years, so maybe I put it higher. Maybe I'd like switch Psyche K in it at the very least, but
I think it's
I don't
definitely
know.
funnier than Psyche K.
I
Kirito
mean,
is just
you
like,
did put it up. You did put it like 1, 2, 3 higher. So yeah.
yeah, I mean, and the things in between it are Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, that's pretty high on my list. But
It
yeah,
is pretty. I mean,
I just love how much of an absolute dickwad Kirito is in that show. It's just it feels like the worst version of myself going around in this world. You know, like
yeah, that's true. I mean,
if I
it
was
does
in
feel like
high
the
school
character they
and
make
like
Kirito to be.
yeah, if, like I was in high school and like that happened in like Dota, you know, back in the day when I was a big Dota grinder, that's how I would have acted 1000%. That's how I acted. I was the worst.
This is fair. This is fair. I guess that makes sense. That is cool that the humor just speak to you that way. But yeah, I probably would have put it. I don't know. I guess I gotta check these two out again and see what I think about it. It's been too long. Now, my only C show is Castlevania. No complaints
Fair.
about it. Just yeah, kind of forgot most what happened in season 3, and then when like the climax happened, and I was like, something important's happening, and I can't really figure out what. There's a lot of dead bodies, so just kind of a meh show, like average. I'd recommend it to people. I wouldn't say no. Just I think there's what
Yeah, that's
12
what
done better on this list.
I think I liked it too because I liked it more because I was watching it. That's what Dan and I watched during pledging. Whenever we got a moment to ourselves, we were just watching Castlevania.
Ah. I know I like season 1 and season 2 a lot. I'm just thinking now about season 3, which is now like up to the new stuff. And season 3 just kind of like was good. I mean, we had that joke about, oh no, I'm stuck in the woods with my brain dead servant who only talks about beer. That
I
was pretty
love
funny.
that.
But then just like as it kept going, I gotta rewatch it. I feel like it would be pretty good. But I don't think I'd move it if I was to rewatch it again. I think I'd keep it here. But I do want to rewatch it again. Then I have My Hero Academia, which I put in D because I watched one season more than you did, and honestly, that season had some very high highs, very low lows, and was consistently low.
That's rough.
But then it like spikes for these like epic moments.
Yeah, no, it really felt like that show also was just going nowhere. Like
Well,
they
you
didn't
want to
have.
hear how the arcs go, Andrew? I listened to someone say this. It goes training arc, tournament arc, or it's like it's the entrance exam,
Right.
training arc, tournament arc, training arc. Training arc that then leads into or then the villains attack the dome at the end of season 1. Then it's a
Right.
training arc. Then it's the tournament arc in season 2. Then it's a training arc. Then it's the stain arc. Then it's a training arc. Then it's a training arc when they go to that bunny camp place where like all the cat people, and then they get attacked by villains again, and then they go into another training arc, and then the season ends. And then the next arc is they have a fight, training arc, fight, training arc. It literally is just high arc, training arc, high arc, training arc, high arc, training arc. And the training arcs are like, I know, like for these, like especially for shonen, you need training arcs to be like, how did Deku get stronger? Well, he trained. Look, this is how he did it. Which is like so boring. It's just so bad.
Yeah, no, agreed.
They just like they have now trained for 6 weeks. We're back to the action. Like, okay, cool. Show me moves they got. Go back.
And
to
I
training.
feel like half of them really shouldn't need to train that much. Like some of them, their like powers are just so painfully brain dead that it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why you gotta train like this?
Lightning guy who literally goes brain dead whenever
Yeah.
he uses his ability.
Oh, also another thing that irritates me about My Hero Academia is the zero gravity girl. That's not how zero gravity works. Alright, if you make something have no effect on gravity, it doesn't float into the air. Like, it'll
Just
get blown
stop
around by
moving.
wind currents and stuff. Like, sure, like any force exerted on it will move it, but like, what exactly makes all those things float that high in the air? And then sometimes she can like casually send like tanks up in the air and like all kinds of like bullshit in the air if she wants. But then other times, like, this car is too heavy. It's like, the fuck did you just say?
Yeah, I feel like no, her power is definitely broken. I feel like a better way for her power to work would be like it lightens the density of objects to the point that they're lighter than air, so they
Just make
float
her
in
like
air.
telekinetic.
Yeah, but it would still keep like
Yeah,
obviously her
yeah,
power
yeah.
sucks. Like I'm not, but like to keep the same like premise of the power, you could just say it makes it lighter than air, so that it would begin to like to float, and then it just takes like the denser something is, like a big like ton block of steel would take a lot more energy to make it light enough to float than like a pencil.
Yeah. Also, I think at some points, like, they use her zero gravity thing to like pick things up and hit people with it, and like they react like they got hit by something heavy. But the mass of that object you're hitting with them is essentially zero, right? So it's like the world's largest slap.
Well, that's I guess yeah, then that's not a
Yeah,
problem.
force equals mass times acceleration. And if it has no mass, the only thing you're swinging is your arms. So you're taking like the force of you swinging with both arms and just making it over a larger surface
Well,
area that
then
you hit them
that would
with.
require her to I mean, obviously it wouldn't work with those fights, but then that would require her to then be able to use her ability to then like if she throws someone at something, she has to then like cancel the ability as it comes into contact with them, so then it regains its mass and then it hits them with the force. So she has to like be able to balance like all that stuff. I agree that it wouldn't work like with the way they wrote her now, but her ability doesn't work the way they wrote it now.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be like the same thing of the guy who can phase through walls and such, like how he has to do like each part individually, and then eventually like now he's super fast at it. Like
Yeah.
it could be stuff like that, like make this thing really light, but then throw it, but then as like it hits, she has to be like, okay, now it's gonna do this, and it goes. Or she
Yeah.
can control the density, so then like maybe it like I don't know. There could be creative ways to write that. I feel like that would work.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree, hers is kind of broken too. And then I put the next one is SAO. I've watched all of SAO, so I do like it a little bit, but I don't like it that much, and I think that putting it in D is still where it belongs, because most of the characterizations of the antagonist in SAO, especially in the beginning, this isn't as bad now, is I am rapist, and that is it.
Yep.
Which is not creative, it's not good character writing, it really doesn't help anything along, and all it does is just make me hate your villain, which you do want them to do, but it just,
Yeah.
it's not a good like
He's just a
Psychopath is a
one-dimensional
very
villain.
great villain without him ever being a rapist.
Yeah, I feel like falling back on your antagonist being a rapist and that being like the only thing wrong with them is kind of lazy. Like, we can all agree rapists are shitty people, and so there's like there's nothing you can do with that character if that's their only bad guy flaw, because they're irredeemable if their only bad guy flaw is being a rapist. So like, you can't
Yeah,
do
and I think
anything
that's
with
like
them. So now he's just there waiting to be killed and to like continue to say creepy things.
yeah, and I think that like this is definitely not a specifically to anime thing, but I think it is more common in anime is that like you tend to have villains that or antagonists that have ideologies that perfectly reflect the opposite of the hero or the protagonist ideologies.
Yeah.
And that's just a good story in general. Any story should have that, but not every story needs it. And I feel like when you make your character a rapist, your antagonist a rapist, it's just like, well, the only thing the protagonist can now be is anti-racist, which is what he should be anyway. So you're just saying he's a good guy and that the bad guy's a bad guy, but they have no actual character development nor ideals that make them unique or have like worth fighting for. It's like, oh yeah, don't rape people. Yeah, okay, but like we can make a crime show about that too.
Yeah.
Does not need to be animated. Does not need to be any of this stuff. And I think
You
that's just one of the reasons I dislike SAO so much. But
you accidentally said racist instead of rapist, which is also the same thing. It's like it's your other like blanket bad guy trope of like, wow, he's racist. All right, we can all get behind. That's not cool.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah,
And this is like
But-
well done, like in Full Metal Alchemist, how Scar is technically a racist. I almost said rapist because he hates the government of Full Metal Alchemist for wiping out his people racistly. So he's like, well, I'm racist too now, and like that makes sense.
I don't know if it's. I agree.
It's I mean, it's revenge. It's race.
He targets the. He targets the.
He targets the military. Actually, you're right. You're right. Yeah. He's
just, I guess you would call it terrorist.
Yeah, he's like a terrorist, an extremist. Like, yeah. Yeah, never mind. I was wrong. It's just not racially driven. The attack on his people is racially driven. I'm just an idiot. But my point still stands that, like, you can maybe do something interesting with, like, oh, this is why a character is racist, even though racism is obviously bad. But yeah, rape is just so irredeemable.
The
like the only like time I think rape is like well used is like in George R.R. Martin's like Game of Thrones books, where it's just like, oh yeah, like women get raped left, right, and center, and it's just like part of George R.R. Martin's points about the point of Game of Thrones is like, why do we idolize this period of time? It's shitty. It was so shitty for everyone.
Yeah, I think besides for George R. R. Martin, which I do from the parts I've ever from Game of Thrones, I do agree that is a good because also not like built into anyone's character besides for like Ramsay being a piece of shit. Would be the first episode of Psycho-Pass where they have that episode.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah.
The girl.
But that was part of like showing you how fucked up the system was. That the woman became like a killable target because she was so mentally distraught over being raped.
Yeah, and I think that was like, that exactly. They used the trauma of the rape to then further like the story and the setting. It obviously wouldn't have been. It's not the main character, so it's a little different at that front.
Yeah.
But like if you have like, especially because like when you have things like rape in stories, if you don't use it correctly and you just like, this is how I make the bad guy bad, you've now made every viewer or like reader or viewer that is absorbing your piece of work is now, if they've experienced rape, which is a lot more uncommon than people like to talk about.
Less uncommon.
Then they're going to be like, they're not going to be as engaged in your work because they're going to be like, oh, like you took something that was really scarring to me and you just made it seem very belittling. I'm not gonna like it anymore. But if you like, oh, main character gets raped by this person, how did they get over it? What did they do? Like, how did the trauma come back and affect them? Like, you use it in such a very creative way, then it's good.
Yeah,
it actually makes a good story that people would then want to watch, and then people who have experienced it can maybe use it as a way to cope with. They're not just like, oh, no, I can't watch this because it's just belittling something that really like changed my life in not a good way.
Yeah, no, and also like I mean, I was just thinking about Psycho-Pass in general as well, and I also think like the guy's motivation, like, this is hard. Like I can't think of a good way to say this. Like, it makes sense that he ends up at that point because he knows he's going to jail or getting killed, so he no longer cares about morality. Right? Like, that's kind of the point of that scene, is like when like he hits whatever that like level on Psycho-Pass, like his psychometer was, like his life was over, right?
Yeah, he was at least gonna get detained, and then he was like, he also mentioned he's like, I've always wanted to like.
Yeah, he mentioned he wanted to do it. Like, he was a sick, fucked up individual. Yeah, exactly. Like, he was shown to be an incredibly sick, fucked up individual. And then when everything was taken away from him, he's like, yeah, like, I was not going to do this, but this is, like, a terrible thing, and I'm going away forever anyways, so I don't care. This is a fucked up thing I want to do. And that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's just It's a good way of using it as like a. It does show so much without having to say. Like, they didn't need someone to be like, this man, having gone through all these things, has now gone to the point where he feels that he now is just, like, you could get that from the dialogue that happened, but it wasn't laid out to you in that way. And it wasn't like they used that scene to then be like, this is the main antagonist of the show. It was like, no, this man dies in like 10 minutes. The girl then gets locked up and never is talked about again, but it now shows you all the problems with this world, and it helps just quickly like envelop the viewer with just the fact like this is a pretty fucked up world they lived in, and this is where you're gonna be spending the next 25 episodes. Just heads up.
Yeah, exactly.
Then,
Like, the system is so bad.
Asuna like 5 times, and it's like this is the bad guy of this season. This is the bad guy of this season. It's like, can you?
Yeah.
Like, I think this girl is now mentally distraught to the point that she's not gonna touch.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, bro, chill. Alright, so here, yeah, I mean, it speaks to how good it is that, like, I've been looking at our recording timer, and we've talked about this, like, that guy almost as long as his whole screen time in the show, and it was totally about, like, our observations that aren't told to you in the show.
Yeah.
If there's one takeaway from this YouTube video, it's watch Psycho-Pass if you haven't, and you can deal with that.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Psycho-Pass is not a show for everyone, but it is one of those shows that if you can stomach it, it is such a good thing.
Yeah, no. If you can deal with like watching that shit, yeah, big fan, But it's very much like I get it if you do not want to watch it. Like totally.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
do not do that to yourself if you don't want to.
Oh, it's also my favorite show. And people are like anime's for kids. It's like, okay, we're gonna.
Alright, time to ruin your day.
Yeah, time to ruin your day. I still cannot get over that Marcus says that Psycho-Pass is not that dark. Like, I understand Attack on Titan is about to get real dark, and like let's see. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is not the darkest show I've seen, but it's dark. I'm just gonna go down my list. Psycho-Pass, dark. One Punch Man, messed up in some ways, but it's not dark. Mob Psycho, not dark. Titan, yes.
Yep.
Death Note, yeah, it gets pretty. It's not
it
like
gets dark at times. I wouldn't call it super dark. Yeah.
It's like on the cusp of getting dark. Demon Slayer, nah, not really.
I think it might end up becoming darker, but yeah.
It could be. I could definitely see it going down that route. I do agree.
ReZero is dark because when it's on, I turn off my monitor.
Murdered, so. ReZero.
Did you hear that?
I heard something turn off my monitor.
I said ReZero's dark because when it's on, I turn off my monitor.
Yeah, that is. I would. I think I put it like, if Death Note's on the cusp of being dark, ReZero is like one step away from that line towards like not being dark. From like Death Note. Like it has moments where it's dark and like it's messed up, but like no, it really isn't like the darkest show in the world. Promised Neverland, it's pretty fucked up. These kids are at a farm where they get eaten by demons.
Yeah, the fact that it's children makes it darker.
Yeah, and it's like season 2. It doesn't make it any darker, but it does help envelop the world.
And then the rest of these shows are not dark.
Castlevania is a dark setting, but not dark. No, so yeah, and then SAO is just dark because it has rape.
Yeah. Castlevania like is dark because like Dracula's wife gets burned at the stake. Like the beginning is kind of fucked up. Like the references, like the church in that show is like pretty fucked up.
It is dark because that guy gets enslaved.
Yeah. Never mind. Actually, the church is fucked up in Castlevania. I forgot about that. They're the worst.
Yeah, and then there's like the those 2 people that try to kill Alucard at the end of season 3, and then he just like makes his magic torches wash around, and he's like, "I said I didn't use them. It didn't mean I can't." Badass. I didn't use them because my father could. I didn't say I couldn't use them. I just don't.
You can just you can unblock everything that's on the question mark.
You wanna know what my Boruto tier is actually?
Yeah, what's your bottom show actually? Fairy Tail? Fairy Tail's number 3 for me. It's the only show
on this list I have not finished intentionally.
Yeah,
I've watched every other show on this list. I haven't caught Black Clover. I've watched everything else on this list, and I've forced myself to get through all of SAO. I have not watched anything past the first episode of Fairy Tail.
Yeah, no, I mean Fairy Tail is like it's all all the female characters are just drawn to be like sexual bait, except for the 12-year-old, and then they talk about her not having boobs all the time. Apparently, I didn't even get to that part of the show, but they like.
Yeah, you know it's bad when your girlfriend at the time is telling you to watch a show, and then you just actively hate that show so much that you still say you're not gonna watch it.
Oh, Sam tried to make you watch SAO or Fairy Tail.
Oh, Danny.
Danny.
Oh. Fairy Tail. I was like, I'll give it a try. My deal was with her, if she watches Psycho-Pass, I'd watch Fairy Tail. She didn't want to watch Psycho-Pass. I told her I didn't want to watch Fairy Tail.
Oh man, that's like not on equal footing at all.
Yeah, but she was like, Fairy Tail's my second favorite show of all time. I was like, Psycho-Pass is my second favorite show of all time. Because the only comparison between the two of them we had was both of them were our second favorite shows.
What was her favorite show?
It could be Fairy Tail.
She said Fairy Tail was her second.
Yeah, I said it's either her first or her second. I forget. I'm gonna be honest. It was like her list, like her top shows were basically that like guys thing.
Oh yeah. The horrifying tweet. If like you're watching this video, you don't know about that tweet, just good for you. Good for you. Fuck that guy. I'm not giving him any publicity, even though.
If you're following Joey on Twitter, because that's probably the only way you can ever find us. Is if you probably follow them. Definitely saw what Joey was talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, this video isn't gonna get that many views because it's just our opinion on anime, and we're not we have all of 8 subscribers on YouTube, so no one's gonna see this. But I still won't give him the publicity.
Yep. But let me think. Let's see, trying to see what shows do we have in our 2 lists that were just so drastically off each other. I guess Full Metal for us, but even then, like you put it in high B, I put it in S. Well, my number 1. It's not too far off. I think B to A is like barely any difference, and the only thing I think that S has is that like, by that logic, I should take Death Note out. I think, yeah.
R.I.P. Death Note.
Can I unmerge these? Whatever. Death Note's going out of S. It's going into A. I just don't feel like fixing it right now.
I think you can do like this. Ready? Nope.
That's fine.
That ain't it.
S tier is just like it's that perfect anime that just like you have no problems with it. You can always go back and watch it again. And I got some problems with Death Note now that I think about it. I can never go back and watch that again.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched Death Note a couple times actually. It's a show people watch all the time, but it's not a show that I would focus on. Yes.
Yeah. I'd rewatch everything down to like Castlevania.
I'd watch all of these again.
Yeah.
I agree.
I just mean like I definitely rewatched my S. I have actively rewatched One Punch Man and Mob Psycho. Actively rewatched SAO Abridged. Have not actively rewatched Death Note, but I would. I literally just finished Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood like a couple months ago, so you're not gonna catch me rewatching it anytime soon, but I probably would be willing to in a year.
That's fair. I think I've rewatched Full Metal Alchemist like 3 times, 2 times, something like that.
But yeah, I mean, it's all pretty close. I mean, the only big difference one is ReZero, and yeah, I mean, I just don't like isekais or harems, so.
No, yeah, I think there is this one. It's Ishimoto Senkai or something, and it basically it's the one about the guy who gets hit by a truck. He's like this fat, lonely man. Who they his character introduction is him jacking off to hentai, and then he dies, and then he gets reincarnated in this other world as a baby, and then he's not born. I don't know if he's born with the memories of his past life, but he's born with all the traumas of his past life.
Fun.
So like when he grew up, it was like he got bullied as a kid, he got harassed in high school, he was a loner as an adult, he died of a heart attack, he's unhealthy, and like when he gets bullied in this new world, he like has flashbacks to this life he doesn't remember, and then it's like him And like the magic system of the world apparently is really cool. It's like it looks really pretty. It's like a really well animated show, which I know doesn't matter to you, but it definitely adds to it. It doesn't have, from what I've seen so far, from like the trailers and whatnot, none of the girls look like they're very fan service based, and it doesn't seem to have a very nice premise. So I think that'd be a cool isekai that you would.
Maybe that's interesting. So he's essentially born with PTSD of his like first life.
It's either that or he has all the memories of it, but he's like born as a baby, so he gets to go experience everything again anyway.
Interesting.
And then it's like him trying to not get to the same point again. Like he's still born a peasant, so like rich people make fun of him. I saw in one scene, and then he's like crying behind a wall, and I don't know what happens after that. But like, it's clear that like he's not like the like, because even like Subaru in ReZero, he's supposed to be a lonely outcast, but yet he's also highly athletic, attractive, and can pull any girl in the show. So somehow that happens, but this guy was not like was a lonely person. He was not attractive, was not athletic. He was fat, ugly, and lonely. And when he goes over to the other world, this still carries over. He's like, I mean, it's a different body now, so I don't know if the attractiveness thing is the same. But he's still lonely. He's still, not exactly the nicest person because he just was never. No one was ever nice to him.
Yeah.
And you really make it raw when, the first thing you see of the guy is him literally climaxing to hentai. It'll show you instantly right away what kind of character you got.
I was trying to edit the merges and now I've just managed to do it. Can you see that these two are green now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that.
Yeah, me either. But
oh well. What happened?
we can wrap this up, I guess.
I was gonna say, I think that's about it. Unless you got anything else you specifically want to say, yeah, if you saw this.
I think I'd recommend anything.
Yeah, if you.
I guess anything that I've seen and I've actually finished, I'd recommend. I don't necessarily think SAO past like season 1 is worth it, and then you can watch like the new Alicization stuff.
I'd suggest everything in my B tier or above. And honestly, if you want just garbage comedy, I think the Orion Host Club was funny. That's about it. Yeah. So yeah, to the viewers, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you made it this far, that would be impressive. I mean, we've been recording for 1 hour and 22 minutes now. So
it's gonna be one hell of a video.
Yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a video, and there's not really much to edit down. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We're doing Rocket League content as well. If you
might start Apex. We don't know.
We might do some Apex content as well. But we'll do stuff like this again. Yeah. It'll be a little bit less serious because if Owen tries to make me watch something, I'll probably just be making fun of it. Next time you see this, and then Owen will be defending it. So yeah.
There may be more.
Maybe more.
Maybe yelling this time.
Yeah.
I say more yelling, but there really wasn't any yelling this time.
There was no yelling.
I thought we were gonna argue about our list, but then I realized that I've really only shown you the as you can see, most of the shows that I've shown you are in my S or A tier.
Yeah, exactly. Other than like My Hero Academia.
We both watched. We watched that together, blind. So.
Yep, precisely. All right. Well, thanks again, and I'm gonna end the recording here.